Mad Max Gaming.
Alright, so we're off the subway now. The little heck train is on time. The Stoneshire, the Studio East, the New Flesh, the Toon Garden, and the Death Lake have all been derailed. But the little heck is on time at 4:14. Okay. I don't need any. Well, I kinda do, but it's not terrible. I could find food. Oh, can't go any farther than that. I was curious, what can I say? Nothing in here. Nothing in here. Oh, so I could technically jump down and look over here. I can't open the door from this side, unfortunately. Alright. Well, it's worth a shot. Nothing. Nothing.
Subject.
Ugh. Alright.
Take a picture, why don't you?
Oh my god. I'm watching you too.
What are you looking at?
You and your abnormally long fingers.
Remove yourself from our sight, subject. Move along, or else.
Or else what?
You disgust us.
Seems unnecessarily mean.
Take a picture, why don't you?
Alright, I think he's repeating now. Yep. Alright, so we got all the audios. Which way am I Woo! Where am I supposed to go? Oh man. Why are they after him? Oh, a note. Wait. Diana Dean's top shoe polish? Or Dinah Dean's. Okay. Old Track 77 is a quiet place these days. Ever since that terrible crash a few years back, people don't like to hang around. Too many strange things keep happening on this platform. Last week, one of the railmen told me they had that's always confusing. They had reports of some train going through that wasn't even on schedule. There were figures standing in the cars, staring through the windows, but it never stopped, let no one off, just kept going straight through. Some say it was the Silver Lane Express. That train crashed. Kitty Thompson. Okay, so that was that girl I think that was like talking in that tape we found in the car. And she had like the little country accent. It says something. I can't see what. Oh, that's right, I can't use my abilities here. I can't see what it says. Oh, it says just a pencil in a dream. There's a plant. Train. Alright. Alright, can't get in through there. Okay, I just wanted to check, make sure there wasn't anything in there, and there was a note, so I'm glad I went in there. Poor guy. That goes there, and then this... Okay, so they're all connected. Hey, Wilson!
The demon's evil continues to spread.
Uh-huh.
This world has begun to shudder.
Be quiet.
What did you say?
Nothing. It was nothing.
Almost there. Just a quick stop. Won't take but a moment.
Interesting. So who do I trust here? The ink demon.
Subject will stand in the designated location.
That was unnecessary. Do not yell at me. Oh, that's the gun! That's the gun from the first game. And the axe. I don't really remember a frying pan. Did we have a frying pan? Alright, let me go stand here before he yells at me. Oh wait, I can open this. Don't touch me yet. Nothing in there. Alright.
Lethal object detected. The subject will submit all weapons for further screening. Disarm now.
This is my pipe. Aww.
Remain still for examination. The subject is cleared for entry.
So weapons are not allowed beyond this point. Please place all weapons on the contained ink and contained ink on the holding desk to the right. I want my pipe back. Fancy. Alright.
To the civilized world. How
Is
do
that
you
what this
like my
is?
signal towers? They nullify the ink demon's powers so he cannot pass them. I wish I could say I invented them, but it seems our friends at the Gent Corporation had a demon problem of their own long ago.
Oh my god. What is that? She's kind of scary, but kind of cute. Hi. I don't know how I feel about you. You kind of look like you're from Coraline or something. Are you my other mother? Alright. I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to him.
And now, my dear, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot to prepare. We'll talk later, I promise. Besides, you must be very tired. A quick rest will do you good. Betty will show you to your room.
Hi,
She's
Betty.
my housekeeper, among other things.
You
Ew.
never actually killed the ink demon, did you?
Nope.
No, he's too powerful to destroy. So we sealed him away, trapped him in a different form. One that was smaller, harmless.
Bendy.
It was a fitting prison, although he seems to have found a way to free himself. But enough talk. We'll deal with that soon enough.
There's some nice fresh blankets all laid out for you. You'll be dreaming in no time.
Wait, Wilson? One more thing. If you needed my help, why didn't you just ask?
Would you have believed me?
True.
Come along, and no more dawdling. This way now.
I can see what, he, sees in you. I think.
Oh, you're here at last. It's so exciting finally having you with us. Now, to give you some bearings, we're currently standing in the south wing. Wilson's laboratory is downstairs.
Okay, she's adorable.
Then there's the north wing.
She walks so slow. Dee 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 dee. I want to go this way. Kind of sounds like the first game doors. Oh. Oh, I can sit. Sure. Much better. Okay, can I get up? There. Well, that's suspicious. Alright, Betty. Let's go.
The ink demon got in there a while ago, and ever since, we've had to keep the north wing locked up tight. I'm afraid it's fallen into ruins by now. All those juicy, lovely books gone to waste. Only keepers go there these days, and they'll tear you apart limb from limb if Wilson isn't with you. So, mind your distance, and you'll be just fine.
Oh, I'm going in there first, that's for sure. So you want me to go that way, which means I'm gonna go this way. Ha ha! There's nothing in here.
It's not very often I have guests to look after, especially one I can actually talk to.
Oh.
Almost everyone here either can't speak or they're completely mad.
I wonder what happened to Betty's face, because she's clearly wearing a mask.
All right, here we are. Best room in the house.
Oh, wow.
You
Okay.
should see where I sleep. Ugh. But this room, oh, just perfect.
Well, if
I
it's
saw
next to
every
Wilson,
detail.
I can see why
It
you
is
say,
clean.
ugh.
The bathroom is on the left. Sorry about the stains. I did try my best to get them out.
Well, I mean, we're all covered in ink, Betty, so it is what it is. Pinch of salt, cocoa powder, chamomile, soybeans, Gilson. For, what is it? Mix everything in a glass and then drink with exactly 3 sips of water. Okay. I can't go to the bathroom. Where if I gotta go? So, why doesn't she have like a nice place? Because he's like, she's my maid, amongst other things. Like, obviously this is his woman, but I guess because it's like his side chick, she doesn't get a room? Or is it just gross because she has to sleep next to him? Because that makes sense too. So, the mug and the maiden. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. The Mug and the Maiden, Volume 1 by Sir Wilton Moore. Chapter 1 The Dangerous Forest. Once upon a time in a faraway land there lived a mug of cheese. But it was not an ordinary mug of cheese, as you would find in any home or kitchen of the age. Of course, because everyone has a mug of cheese. This mug of cheese was a distant descendant of one of the three grand Flagon kings, the same kings who had charged on horseback to defend their capital city during the unforgettable conquest of the previous century, to which these Flagon kings he hailed from. The mug was unsure, but still there was honor and courage in his heart. His family heard of the deeds long past that have forever changed the course of the Stoop history. Did he have a name? Of course, all mugs of cheese have names. This is common knowledge. Obviously, my mug of cheese's name is Jerry. Just as every fruit bat is really named Stanley. What is this? The mug of cheese was named Richter the Cracked. What a name! I can hear you say, cracked indeed. This mug of cheese bears no damage that I can see. Fall silent, you small-minded bass. Okay, that was mean. For those initials are intriguing. For their in lights are intriguing story. Let's begin at the beginning. It was a hot winter day in the forest, one of those days where everything is dull brown. The lake was still, the birds had shut up, and the trees were but sticks in the overcast sky, save for a lone pine that skimmed the clouds above like a painter's brush. It was on this day that Mr. Darble Mouse was in a hurry. He had been named as Vermin of the Year by the society brethren that lived under the old church, and it was customary for the honoree to bring part with wine cheese to the ceremony. There were only hours to locate some of the precious cuisine. Fortunately, Mr. Darble Mouse knew exactly where to find it, the dark cellar below the governor's castle. But unfortunately, as he approached the loose plank of wood in the old wall, he failed to realize that the heavy rains that had come during the night had passed moisture into the plains, making it far heavier than usual. Thus, when he pushed the plank with all his might, it lifted just enough to push his body only halfway through, but the strength just couldn't contend with the weight of the plank, and his arms flailed and the plank snapped back down, crushing him flat. How much is this? Oh my god. After all, this story is not about Mr. Darble Mouse. Or had you forgotten about the mug of cheese already? I thought he was going to get the mug, and then they were going to fall in love, honestly. I can see how you might connect the two. Mr. Darble Mouse was, after all, looking for cheese, and we were talking about a mug of cheese just before. Sadly, I must inform you that there is no relation between Richter the Cracked and the rodent who is now nothing more than smashed guts inside the wall. Why is this a thing? Except that there is, for it was the death of Mr. Darble Mouse that started all the trouble. You see, when things die, they tend to smell, and that's just what Mr. Darble Mouse did. But that's not at all his body. Not at all his body, pinned between the outside and the inside of the wood wall, had made the perfect passage for the hot winter wind. The wind therefore carried the stench of his decaying mouse carcass deeper into the governor's home. Like a snaking, twisting wisp of terror, the smell settled into a little tavern near the courtyard of the castle. Here soldiers would spend many long hours when there was no bloodlust to soothe with battle. Strong ales and red meats like the menu from back to front of this rustic medieval greasy spoons. Mostly the customers customers came to look upon the bar maiden, Maxine, who was actually named Rita. Rita was by far the best looking creature in all the Govern's country. There was a beautiful dear woman just over the hill, but no one knew that. Oh, it was Betty. By day, Rita scrubbed her tavern so clean you could eat off of it, which was fortunate as it was the place you indeed would be eating, since it was a tavern. By night, she served her customers with charm, grace, and mostly with drinks. Did I mention that Rita was married? Well, I am mentioning it now. Rita was married. Her husband's name was James. He didn't do much until he died. The smell of Mr. Darble-Mouse knocked him flat, and that, my friends, was that. Oh dear, this story barely begun, and we've already killed 2 major characters. Needless to say, Rita was deeply distressed by the whole thing, but 20 or so minutes later that she realized she couldn't mourn forever and went to buy some cheese. Ah yes, don't worry dear reads, this time the mention of cheese will probably guide us to meeting our focal hero of the tale. Also, this is a good time to start a new chapter. It's happening. How long is this? Chapter 2, a new chapter. I hate you, Joey Drew Studios. I actually hate you right now. Oh god, the font is so small and I'm so blind. Rita entered the cheese shop with her guns blazing. Am I speaking metaphorically? I am speaking metaphorically, of course, by which I mean she entered the cheese shop quite determined to buy some cheese. See, I thought she was just gonna rob the place. This was because just the night before, as her husband James was taking note of the weird smell in the room, she had invented a delicious new concoction, a cheddar cider. Okay. It was sure to be a hit with her patrons. After all, the governor's county had only 2 exports, cheese and grapes, and she couldn't possibly make a drink from a grape. But what? But back to the cheese shop scene. Rita knocked on the counter loudly with her fist, causing the nearby cat to do absolutely nothing as cats do. Now see, if that was my one cat, he would freak out because he's afraid of everything. From behind the wall she heard a stir as someone was crashing through the piles of cheese to make their way toward her. Emerging gloriously from torn yellow curtains, an old man came into view. He was in giant stature with a long gray beard, babbling along, and stuck within his beard were all manner of cheese crumbs and wedges wrapped tightly within his hairs, but yet he held even more cheese on the ropes pulled across his chest with loops of provolone length like sausages over one shoulder. That's not even sanitary. His eyes were big and his ears were bigger still. A smile of kindness erupted from his face as he locked eyes with Rita. My, the Kurds are kind to me this hour. Hello and welcome. If my husband doesn't greet me like that, I don't want him. He has to say that the Kurds are kind to me this hour when he sees me. Rita bowed low and promptly began to cry. Oh my god. The shop owner looked at her perplexed. What did I say wrong? The barmaiden sniffled and snooted and finally answered, Forgive me, my husband has just died and I'm out of Swiss. I'm going to pause now in the story to ask myself why Mr. Darble-Mouse went into the cellar of the governor's house for cheese if there was a cheese shop nearby. I didn't even think of that. And I think it's best that we overlook this glaring problem in the plot, don't you? Now back to the story at hand. Rita purchased a long amount of cheese from the shop owner. She bought cheese wheels and cheese melts and cheese slices. She bought cheese whistles and cheese bread. She bought cheese paper and cheese sandwiches. She bought so much cheese that in fact she had lost track of all she had obtained and just dumped all the fromage into a large burlap sack and returned the journey to the tavern. Why? Oh my god. Here we go. Goodbye, Rita, the shop owner called as he waved farewell. Goodbye, Daniel, she called back. His name was Murray, by the way. I hate this. Overburdened by her treasures, Rita made her way home, following the main road to the castle, but as it always happens, the road was now under repair. A man with a skinny mule was plowing up the dirt so that he could put down the new cobblestone. Cobblestone! Minecraft! 4 of his associates were standing by watching him. The job would only take a few years to finish, but Rita was in a hurry, so she followed the detour sign that took her to a different road to her left. Unfortunately, no one could read in the governor's county, so she went right instead, and the mishap took her deep into the forest, where absolutely nothing of interest happened. Except something of interest did happen. As she trotted, as she trotted on through the forest, her sack of cheese weighing her down, muttering complaints all the way. Little did she know that danger lay just ahead. This danger was cunning and dangerous and had one of those out-of-place eyebrow hairs that drives you nuts when you're talking to someone who has one. This danger was called Bernard. Of course, his name is Bernard. The big, ugly lizard man who wears a blue cloak. There's just so much wrong with that. Bernard didn't often have visitors in his house. This was because he lived outside. Also, he was rather fond of human flesh, which made him very unpopular. Why? Everyone loves cannibals. So obviously you can see the drama unfolding here. The beautiful but tired Rita, huffing and puffing the wind path as she approached a certain doom. Bernard, watching from near by a tree, licking his lips. Oh, the tension is tense, is it not? Sounds kind of like Little Red Riding Hood or something. At this point in time, we must pause again to ponder the possibilities that can happen in our story. 2 characters have died already. Surely a third wouldn't hurt anything. Are you perhaps just reading the story because you want to see who will get the axe next? You are a little warped. Do you know that? Well then, let's see what happened next. Bernard stepped from behind the hiding place, his eyebrow hair gleaming in the fading sun. Dear madam, why must you pass through so fast? He called, with his eyes glimmering. I must get home, Bernard, because for one, it's getting late and I have customers to serve, and second, because you eat people, Rita replied. Poppycock, balderdash, codswallop. I won't hear these lies against my character, he detested. For I, Bernard, the big ugly lizard man who wears a blue coat, have completely reformed myself. Rita squinted suspiciously at him. You have? Bernard put on a hand to his heart. I have. I no longer prowl or pounce. I won't attack or bounce. I will not kill or maim or tear. I won't crush or even bite you anywhere. I promise I won't devour any more. What is this, like some weird Dr. Seuss all of a sudden? My gosh, you've become a bore. If you aren't going to be danger in this story, then I've come all this way with 100 pounds of cheese for nothing, Rita grumbled. She boosted her sack further up her shoulders and turned with an angry grunt, but Bernard waved after her in panic. Wait! It's all a ruse. I intend to eat you, dear woman. I swear it, he cried. It's all a trick, you see. A new angle. It worked on some guy yesterday. Oh, please stay. Rita sighed. Her strength was just about gone from the long adventure she had taken since she left home that morning. She turned back to face Bernard. All right, she said, but your part in the story better lead to an unexpected turn of events. Oh, it will, Bernard clapped and waggled his clawed finger to motion her to draw nearer. Just wait till the next chapter. Oh my goodness. There's 4 more pages. All right. All looked quite dire for Rita. Bernard had her within his grasp. Surely it would just be mere moments before his jaws collapsed upon her head. Oh, what a horrible end for Rita. Needless to say, I am worried for her. But, as luck would have it, miles and miles away, 20 years earlier, something amazing happened. 2 mugs of cheese, a Gouda and a mozzarella, welcomed their first son in the world. I don't think I need to tell you his name. It was Dave. No one liked Dave. After that, their second son came forth, Richter the Cracked, just called Richter at the time. He didn't earn the cracked until later. Richter spent his early life stealing cowbells and putting them on skunks. This way people always knew when danger was nearby. Needless to say, Richter was one smart mug of cheese. But all could not remain perfect forever, and suddenly the great skunk famine began. Victor, I want to call him Victor, but it's Richter. Richter found his world in array, and he sought a new purpose. Fortunately, there was an opening in the governor's county for an adventure at the time. Since he was a descendant of the three grand Flagon kings, he was boosted to the head of the line. Because, as we are all quite aware, even in olden times, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Thus, the adventure of Richter began. He braved deep dungeons, he slayed great beasts, he climbed the highest mountain peaks. He sailed around the world despite the fact that he didn't own a boat. Richter, this is not a real name. Richter was truly the stuff of a legend. If your name is Richter, comment below, because no one's name is Richter. But did I mention the curse? Yes, fair readers, there's a curse. A fiendish and terrible curse. There's always a curse. By night one way, by day another. One morning while Richter was in the governor's county, he came upon a witch named Witch. This witch had pulled upon pound cake from her oven, where she then proceeded to start ingesting it, right there in front of the walk of her home. At once, Richter knew this creature was pure evil. Of course, her name is Witch. Eating cake this early in the morning, without ice cream? This was truly a fiend that needed to be vanquished. First of all, it's never too early for cake. Richter jumped her fence and pulled his sword. "Would you like some pound cake?" the witch offered. It looked quite delicious. Richter would not let himself be seduced into early morning cake, so he approached closer with a weapon at her throat. The witch began to sweat, a mouthful of crumbs. "I also make a mean scone, if you want to wait." Oh my god, this poor woman. Now, no gentleman or gentlemug could refuse a good scone, so Richter withdrew his sword and patiently waited for the witch to create these new buttery pastries. But what he didn't know was that the witch accidentally bumped her table and had added the mixture a vial of curse liquid. See? I told you there was a curse. You were forewarned. The moment Richter ate of the scones, he fell into a deep sleep. The witch, baffled, finished her cake and proceeded into civil service job in a nearby town. As years rolled by, all that remained of the witch's house was carried off by elves, and her garden became overgrown. This left only Richter asleep in the forest, with no end to his dreaming in sight. But the story thankfully does not end here. For, as luck would have it, a giant man covered in cheese, with big eyes and big ears, wandered past the sleeping mug. In case you're forgetting, this was the cheese shop owner, Murray, sometimes called Bill. Unable to resist cheese of any kind, even a mug of the stuff, Murray took Richter to his shop and set him on a shelf. Here Richter sat for many years, until this very fateful day. You see, in Rita's haste to gather up all the cheese she had purchased, she had swept a few things that did not belong to her in the sack as well. These items included the cat on the counter, a personalized pen, Murray's cash box, I think she'll be hearing about this one eventually, and last but not least, Richter himself, still deeply asleep. She did come to rob it. I told you. So now that our two stories have come together, let's discover what happens next to Rita and Richter in the climax chapter. They're gonna fall in love and make baby mugs. Chapter 4, the climax chapter. It was the same hot winter day in the forest, and Mr. Darble Mouse was finally starting to get concerned. Just down the road, Rita was being drawn toward an almost certainly bloody and horrific end to her life. Bernard was just moments from taking her with his lizard jaws, and mere hours from trimming his eyebrows. Come on, Bernard. Get a tweezer. Rita stood her ground. She was no damsel in distress, but simply a person who was pretty darn tired by this point. She pulled the burlap sack of cheese from her body and swung it hard with every last bit of strength she had left in her. An ear-shattering crack broke through the silent trees as the bag made contact with Bernard's shocked face. His teeth flew in all directions, falling like pebbles to the ground. His eyeballs dislodged and rolled into a nearby stream. Well, that sucks. His jawbone turned completely around and planted itself on the back of his head. Okay. Bernard ran screaming into the woods, never to be seen again. This week. Never to be seen again this week. His cries faded in the forest once again and fell soft and quiet. A cow walked by. Oh, okay. You wouldn't know it, though, because the cow doesn't have a bell anymore, because Richter stole it. so he was quiet when he walked by. Rita, still standing with her sack outstretched in her arms, open, wide-eyed on what just happened. Surely no cheese in her bag was hard enough for that kind of impact. As she placed her burlap sack on the dirt and peeled it open, she was amazed to find Richter, the mug of cheese, inside, looking quite dazed. He had awakened, and the curse was finally lifted. Somewhere behind the desk, the witch looked up and nodded with a smile. But oh dear reader, look! Look what was upon his mug body. A giant and elegant crack, the very mark of a warrior. His hero's journey was finally complete. Richter the Cracked had emerged. Yes, it is true that Richter really didn't do anything important in the attack on Bernard. Just by Richter being where he was in the perfect time, saved Rita. The fates were with them. Richter and Rita talked and laughed and ate cheese until the sun went down. Finally, they packed their picnic and headed back to the tavern where they met with cheese of excitement. This is mostly because the guys have found out that Rita was now single. Okay, he's a mug of cheese, and then he ate cheese, so he's a cannibal, is what I'm gathering, right? Oh, thank God, it's the last page. As the night wore into early morning of the hours, the tavern remained alive in the castle courtyard with singing and dancing and cheddar cider. I want to try that. Oh, what a celebration. Let's hope Joey Drew puts it in their merch shop, some cheddar cider. But like all parties of such proportion, eventually everyone sobers and you have to go home before long. It was dawn. The sun began to rise steadily in the west, marking the fresh adventure of the horizon. A wind of a new direction began to blow at a more steady pace. It skidded across the ground and found its way between the floorboards of the government's castle. Here, against all odds, it found the barely remaining body of Mr. Darble Mouse. The wind carried the stench far beyond the borders of the castle, over the mountains and deep within a dark cave, where Evil slept. "What the heck is that smell?" said Evil, awaking the hellfire burning behind his eyes. Eventually the news of this great evil spread from town to town, until it reached the ears of Richter the Correct. He polished his sword and gathered some crumbs of bread to store in his mug. Wearing his best expression of courage, Richter once again set off to conquer the day. His story was not yet over. But for now, dear reader, we return to our own lives, so let us end this tale with one closing thought, shall we? Be we cracked or small or even dead, there's always a purpose to where we are all led. Be brave and strong, and lest we forget, fate isn't quite done with any of us just yet. The end. What? I don't know what to say. You know how like Five Nights will sometimes have random stories, or like the video, like it'll have like some kind of story in the game or something, and like eventually you kind of realize like, oh, it's tied to it. Like even in the Ultimate Custom Night game, like those like anime stories and stuff kind of had like a secret meeting when you actually translated it and things like that. There was always purpose to his weird randomness. Or like the stories that the Candy Cadet had told you in the 6th game. I don't think this is one of those stories. I don't see how. I literally think he just made me read that to see what would happen, to see if it's relevant, and just make a complete and utter fool of myself. For like 15 minutes. I'm gonna look up how long it actually took me to read that. And I'll put the time right here, right now. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it made me laugh. The ending, that very last page with the quote, I feel like could be kind of important. Like the way that everything has a purpose. That's kind of interesting. Other than that, I don't think anything else meant anything. But the last quote about how everything has a purpose eventually, I would definitely keep in the back of my mind. Yeah, I don't want to do that again. Like ever. So what do I do? What do I do, Betty? I can talk to you.
Did you have any questions?
Is it
Why did I
always
read
here?
that?
It's always dark, if that's what you mean. For as long as I can remember.
Are you very old?
No. As far as I understand it, I'm something quite new. Although,
Okay.
I didn't turn out the way I was supposed to. One in a long line of failed experiments. But Wilson will keep trying.
And do you trust Wilson?
This is the realm of the ink demon. The shadow hangs over us all. I don't trust anyone. But Wilson takes care of me, keeps me safe.
Does
He
he?
once said I remind him of something he called his mother. Tell me, is that a good thing? Where
No.
you two are from?
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever had one.
Well, no matter. Now, I was told to make sure you get some sleep once you got here. So get nice and comfy and relax. I left something on the table that might just help you nod off. It's my own recipe. Works very fast. Just follow the instructions. Carefully.
Thanks, Betty.
Of course. If you need anything else, I'll come straight away. I'm always up.
Oh, Betty. Okay, Betty locked me in here. Betty!
Gilson. What's a Gilson?
Yeah, what is a Gilson? Oh, now I can go in my bathroom. Oh, wow. Another mirror. It's so cool. I find it so cool when games have mirrors. Because I know it's difficult, like, animation to do. Alright, there's lots of TP in here, so we can wipe our booties. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that I can do this. I flushed the toilet. Okay, so there's no Gilson, only TP. And I can't go in the shower. Unfortunately. I can't open that. And I opened that already. I can only sit on that. No. Oh, I can go in here. Or leave here. A tape? I don't remember a tape here before.
The machine speaks to
Hold on, hold on. I'll do this so that way you guys have the subtitles.
The machine speaks to me, revealing its many possibilities. What I can accomplish using its power is beyond any measure. Life and death can become a thing of the past. Poverty and hunger, a distant memory. I can remake the world anew. But does the world deserve such a gift? For now, I have bigger matters at hand. A man in a black coat came asking at the front desk about the machine. Said he was from the Gent Corporation. Fortunately, the receptionist knew nothing, and he left quietly. Later, I found his name on the sign-in form. Mr. Alan Gray.
Okay. Interesting. Theory about spaces. Alan Gray. Okay, well, at least that's not multiple pages. Chapter. I can't read Roman numbers. What is that? 5? 4? 4. 4? I don't know. Spatial displacement of the unknown elements. Let us imagine a long wire stretching between 2 points in known time. We will call this length of time the euphoric base. From here we can dispel all needs of societal normacy and all typically understood junctions of the world as known of the world we know as the present. Once the euphoric base is achieved, it creates a shared understanding that there must be space around the wire that is not the wire itself. This space, a Cromley vacuum, could be in itself a host to many wires running as many directions as we can perceive. Using the vessel of flow a flux breaks, we can escape from our wire to another wire. This allows us not to just reveal these algebraic timescapes, but command them with a larger understanding that of their existence. Further still, in theory, we can also bring elements of one world into another, displacing matter into a new state regardless of the current host wire's rules. The reality and function of the elements become new euphonic base.
Well, that didn't tell me anything.
Well, I think what he is not necessarily saying, but how Wilson would probably take it as, is him basically bringing the ink world into the real world, is what I take from that. Oh, Fisherman Jeeves' Fish Guide. Section 4. The Fish Water Critters. The yellow perch. If you find yourself looking for a hard-fighting fish that won't rip your hands, you should look no further than the common yellow perch. This freshwater fish is always quick to bite anything they can get their jaws on. The best way to catch yourself one is work your bait, worms, minnows, or larvae, toward the bottom. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Towards the bottom of the water and guide your line back up. You don't need much seasoning when it comes time to cook it either. The flavor of the yellow perch is built right in. Good eatings. The Gilson fish. Oh, it's a fish. This is one strange little fish that is pretty hard to come by. The Gilson is not known to be easy to catch and will ignore most bait. To make matters worse, the Gilson can move very fast, making it a rare sight. In the end, I was able to snatch me up a little guy with a very clever solution. Apparently, the Gilson is sensitive to sound vibrations and will go into shock upon hearing sweet music. So crank up the tunes, and the fish will be easy to grab. Crush up the Gilson into powder and stir into water for a powerful, soothing drink.
So, I'm looking for a fish? There's gotta be one here somewhere.
Ah, yes. Cooking for every day. Chapter 9. Simple Snacks. If you're in a hurry, I always am. You don't have time to put together complex or large meals. Fortunately, we have some scrumptious and simple recipes that satisfy and take no time at all to prepare. People will ask you how you made these so fast, and you just sit back and smile. Saucy Cheese Buddies recipe. Take a loaf of leftover Italian bread and slice it into 4-inch strips. Lightly butter your bread strips on one side only and lay them face up on the baking sheet. Toast in your oven 2 to 6 minutes at 400 degrees or just until they begin to brown. Sprinkle a thick layer of mozzarella cheese over the strips, then leave them in the oven for just a minute or two to melt the cheese. Remove and serve your favorite marinara sauce or spice things up with a little ranch dressing. Quick, easy, and super tasty. Next page, chocolate bacon soup. What the hell? Chocolate bacon soup? There's no fish in this cabinet. Am I done reading? God, I hate reading out loud. I love reading. I read all the time, but I don't like reading out loud because I stutter so easily and it makes me so freaking self-conscious trying to read out loud. There's no fish in here either. Betty! Betty, where are you? Oh god, I broke the game. The game completely froze. That was the first time I ever had it glitch. I guess it glitched out because of the audio. Hello, fish?
Maybe if it was closer.
Oh.
Now that's a fish. Ah, he's too fast.
Oh, so I gotta play the piano. Okay. Oh, I gotta push this. Alright, before I do that, I just want to make sure there's nothing else. Yeah, alright.
That did it. Looks like the fish is asleep.
You killed him.
Gotcha. You can't get away from me, you little stinker. Hello?
I forgot the Gilson again, didn't I? And there's some already ground up in the kitchen too. I'll bring it up to your room straight away, shall I? Oh, and maybe you could put Harold back in his tank. He does so hate the dry air.
Sorry, Harold. I just want to make sure that, you know, because sometimes all of a sudden doors will open and you can get that power-up thing. I'm just going to check this quick. Okay. Time to take a nappy.
Now, just 3 sips of water. 1. 2. 3.